Welcome, one and all! Plywood Voices is proud to present the pilot episode of Tall Tales with Anord. And now, without further ado, here's Anord!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to be here tonight in front of you all. Yes, thank you. Okay, you can stop now. Please stop. Okay, keep going for a little bit, but I'll have to stop you in a moment. Okay. Thank you. You know you're too kind. Just thank you. Stop. Thank you.
Testing? Hello? Is it on? Good evening, everybody. It's lovely to see you all here. And it is lovely to be back on the stage, yes. So, many of you are new to my audience. For you new people, let me introduce myself. I am Anord Anhrefn, Draconequist, entertainer, treasure hunter, and esquire of 10 Wallingball Street. Now, I see some of you here who have seen or met me before. Please welcome to the stands Jareth, Lorana, Gwen, and Chungus, the ex-villains in Genius League. Say hello, everybody! Yes, wonderful people they are. They've come such a long way. From baddies to rapscallion heroes doing stuff for the community. When you exit to relieve yourselves during the intermission, you will find a lovely spread cooked up by our wonderful Chungus here. Yes. Thank you, Evil. May our acronym always be ironic. Now, as we all know, it's Christmas, my favorite time of year. So tonight, to mark a Merry Christmas to you all, and a bright new year of blessing and changes for the better in all of your lives, I am going to read to you a timeless Christmas classic. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, if I hadn't done a lot of talking already, I would do a little sentimental speech about the book beforehand. But this time, just this once, I won't. I will not do that. You'll have to wait until after the story. I'm sorry, but it's worth the wait, trust me. Now, without further ado, How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Yes, Seuss, I was surprised too. Now, let's get on with it. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos. Alphabetically. Staring down from his cave, with a sour, grinchy frown, at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. I think he's jealous.
They're hanging their stockings,
he snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow's Christmas. It's practically here.
Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming.
I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and Who boys would wake up bright and early and rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. The one thing he hated was the noise. Then, the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding, and rare Who roast beast, which is something the Grinch could not stand in the least. And then, they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together, with the Christmas bells ringing, and they'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how?
Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked.
What a mean Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his dog Max,
Max!
and then took some red thread and tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags, some old empty sacks, on a ramshackle sleigh and hitched up old Max. And then the Grinch said,
Get up!
And the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care when he came to the first little house on the square.
This is stop number 1.
The old Grinchy Claus hissed. Then he climbed to the top of the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings,
He grinned.
are the first thing to go.
Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant. I can do that too. Around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles and roller skates, drums, checkboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. And the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox, where he took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding, and he took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch, he even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now,
Grinned the Grinch,
I'll stuff up the tree.
and the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to shove, when he heard the small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, Cindy Lou who was no more than 2. And now for the intermission. Take some time to relieve yourselves, spend some time with your friends, and have a drink.
Good evening, I am Mark Zipper. In tonight's news, chaos erupted when a riot broke out at the Brasswood Mall today. The store's employees and irate customers have taken 2 managers and the department store Santa hostage. Store employees claim that they will be released when the radio company stop playing Mariah Carey. More on that at 6. In other news, tragedy struck quite literally when orchestra director Danny J. Wallingball was struck dead by a bolt of lightning during his big finale. Paramedics say that he might have survived had he not been such a brilliant conductor. That's all the time we have for the news. I'm Mark Zipper. Stay tuned. Good night.
Hello, welcome back. Thank you.
Oh, boy. Welcome back, everybody. You know, I would have done a song for you on the way in, but my goodness, have you ever tried to put a song on YouTube?
especially when you don't have a music team. Anyway, please take your seats and we will get right back to our story. Are you all seated? Good. Now, back to our story. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who had got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking your Christmas tree? Why?
But, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot.
The fake Santa Claus lied.
There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, dear girl. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here.
And his fib fooled the child. And then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou went up to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, that old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 15:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Who's,
he said, grinchishly humming.
They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up now, and I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a moment or two. Then, the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise,
grinned the Grinch,
that I simply must hear.
So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, it sounded merry. It couldn't be so. But it was. Merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, and then replaced them. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
And he puzzled for 3 hours, till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas,
he thought,
doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And that is the end of our story tonight. This story has held sentimental value for me for some time now, as I was once very much like the Grinch himself, until I discovered love. Not mwah mwah, kissy wissy, hearty warty, smoochy pie love. I feel sick just saying that. But the love that can only be described truly by what Christmas is all about. Now, as you all exit the theatre, remember to enjoy the company of your friends. And if they're not here tonight, invite them to the next performance. And also, come to the bar for an autograph. Margaritas are on me. Good night, and Merry Christmas.